So I have been having just one of the most annoying, borderline awful days, and I figured to cheer myself up, I would film my Reading Rush TBR, and I just did that, and it was out of focus the whole time. It's like every time I start off a video on this channel, like there's always something to complain about. My life just can't be simple, unfortunately. Hi everybody, I hope you all are doing well. My name is Saajid, and today we will be doing my Reading Rush TBR. If you don't know what the Reading Rush is, all of the relevant links will be in the description down below. I don't have time to explain all of that. It used to be known as the BookTubeAthon. They renamed it to the Reading Rush. It's taking place from the 22nd to the 28th, and there are 7 reading challenges that you don't have to complete to actually participate in the readathon. You just have to read as much as you possibly can, whether it be 1 page or 5 million pages, it really doesn't matter. But I would like to challenge myself to at least try to read 7 books that complete each of the 7 challenges. Probably not going to happen, but I like making ambitious TBRs because it's kind of the fun. It's the tradition of the BookTubeAthon, formerly BookTubeAthon, now the Reading Rush. Challenge number 1 is to read a book with purple on the cover, and this one is still in the mail, so I don't have a copy of it right now, but that is Ticket to India by N.H. Sanzai. This book has a little splash of purple in the cover, as you could see, and it's about a Pakistani-American girl called Maya, who goes to Pakistan to visit her family there. While she's there with the company of her older sister, she decides to cross the border into India to go retrieve a family heirloom that once belonged to her grandmother. So the book is about the adventures that come with that, and I presume it would be kind of road trip-esque. I do look forward to it for that reason, but more so because this book deals with the long-lasting and real consequences of the 1947 partition of India and Pakistan. Obviously, if you know anything about the partition, the Muslims who were on the Indian side of the border were forced to move over to Pakistan, and the Hindus and Sikhs who were on the Pakistani side of the border were forced to move over to India. And one huge thing that you'd know about partition is that when they were displaced, they were forced to leave everything behind and just go with nothing but the clothes on their back, in most cases at least. And that was very much the case with their grandmother, who moved over in 1947 from India to Pakistan. And she left all of her things there, including her priceless family heirlooms. And that's what Maya is trying to retrieve. It sounds like it's going to be a fun time, so I do look forward to it. Challenge number 2 is to read a book all in one spot. And this doesn't mean that you have to read it in one go, but you have to make sure that every time you're reading this book, you are in the same spot. I'm choosing my bed for this one because honestly, I don't move from my bed anyways. So I question whether this is even really a challenge, to be honest. But the book I'll be reading for that is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I'm going with this one because it's the easiest choice since it is written entirely in verse. It's about a young girl called Xiomara Batista. She's from Brooklyn, her parents are from the Dominican Republic, and she is a poet. And that's pretty much all I know, other than she might have like some problems with her parents because they're super duper religious and conservative. Her brother is also experiencing a lot of problems with them because he himself is gay, which goes against all of their beliefs. And I think she's also dealing with a bunch of other like teenage girl stuff, so I do look forward to it. I've heard amazing things about this and Elizabeth Acevedo's second book and Elizabeth Acevedo as a person in general, so I do trust that this will be one that I enjoy. Challenge number 3 is to read a book that you meant to read last year but you didn't quite get around to, and for me that one is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Pachinko is a multi-generational family saga that is set throughout the 20th century, following the experiences of a Korean-Japanese family as they move from Korea to Japan. If you know anything about me, that is my jam. That is like my favorite like type of book ever. I love books like The Astonishing Color of After and Homegoing and You Bring the Distant Near, where you're dealing with stories about family heritage, about the past. If you're concerned about the fact that this book is thick and dense, it is. Don't worry, I don't plan on actually visually reading it. I do have access to the audiobook thanks to Audible, and this video is actually sponsored by Audible. Audible has a wide array of audiobooks. I'm just fucking with y'all. This video is not sponsored. Audible ain't gonna pay me to do anything, but if they would like to, Audible, if y'all listening, if y'all watching, the bills don't pay themselves here. I'm willing, you know? Either way, I look forward to reading Pachinko. I was supposed to read it last year, and I actually was supposed to read it earlier this year with April from Aprilius Maximus, and she read it, and I didn't. Sorry, April. That was kind of a flop of a buddy read, but I'm gonna read it now. I'll listen to the audiobook. Challenge number 4 is to read a book that is the author's debut. Pachinko and The Poet X are both debuts. I'm not sure about Ticket to India, but yeah, I'm not going to be reading those for that challenge in particular, though. I'll be reading Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. It's set in Nigeria and it follows a married couple, Yejide and Akin, and it looks particularly at the problems that like haunt their marriage. According to Simon from Savage Reads, it's a thriller about a marriage. So not only is it looking at their marital problems and issues, but there's something about it that's supposed to be mysterious and thrilling, and that's supposed to keep you engaged as a reader. From what I've heard as well, there are portions of the book where you can't even tell if it's the husband or the wife narrating, and they are unreliable narrators in general, so you don't know who to believe, you don't really know what's going on with their marriage. Sounds like it's going to be a wild ass ride, so I feel like I'm going to love it. Challenge number 5 is to read a book with non-human protagonists or non-human protagonists, and for this one I'm going to go with the most obvious and accessible choice, Animal Farm by George Orwell. It fits the challenge, it's super duper short, I have access to the audiobooks, I'm not even going to actually physically read it anyways. I don't know if I would like it because I tried to read 1984 and I literally fell asleep between each sentence because it was that fucking boring. But I mean, this is one of the most well-lauded classics of all time, and I presume it would be good. It sounds interesting. It's about an animal farm where the animals function as allegories for society and groups in society and capitalism. I don't know, but it's supposed to be good, so I'll read it. Challenge number 6 is to read a book with at least 5 or more words in the title. For this one I have 2 options and I'm not exactly sure which one I want to go with. They're both by the same author. The first one that I really would like to read is Where the Streets Had a Name by Randa Abdel Fattah. This one is also in the mail, so I don't have my copy of it. And just like Ticket to India, it is very similar in that it's following a girl who is trying to cross a border to retrieve something that once belonged to her grandmother, in a sense. It's set in Palestine in the West Bank, and it's following a girl called Hayat whose grandmother recently passes away. So she decides that she wants to cross the border into Jerusalem, where her grandmother is originally from, but where it is now occupied by Israel, so that she can retrieve soil from Jerusalem and take it back to her grandmother's grave or something like that. So she ends up enlisting the help of a really close friend to help her get over the border to retrieve the soil to bring it back to her grandmother's grave. I look forward to this book not only because, again, it sounds like it's going to be just a really fun, intriguing, adventure-esque story, but because it deals with the very unjust Israeli occupation of Palestinian land and the inhumane treatment of Palestinian people by the Israeli state. Randa Abdel Fattah is obviously an author that I really trust because she wrote The Lines We Cross, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and she also wrote Does My Head Look Big in This, which I have not read as yet, but I might read if this book does not get to me in time, because the people that I ordered it from did say that they will take a while. So if it doesn't come to me, I will read this one, which is a book about a Palestinian Australian girl who decides that she wants to start wearing the hijab, and it's about all of the shenanigans that she gets herself into because of that, and just the reception from general society and what it means to be a young Arab Muslim girl who wears the hijab in Australia. It's a bit more on the comical side. It's supposed to be more satirical, so I presume that it would be a completely different tone from, say, this book. But either way, I look forward to whichever one I decide to pick up during the week because Randa Abdel Fattah is one of my faves. The final challenge is to read a book that was made into a movie and to watch the movie adaptation after you read the book. For this one, I'm going with Green Days by the River by Michael Anthony. I wanted to read something for the readathon set in Trinidad, and this is the best option, and it was made into a movie. If you don't know anything about Trinidad, is we don't really have much movies. I'm part of the problem because I've never really made an effort to watch the handful of movies that we do have, but I really wanted to watch Green Days by the River when it came out, but the book lover in me was like, nah, you need to read the book first. It's kind of lauded as a local classic in its own right. It was written back in the 1960s, and it follows a black Trinidadian boy who falls in love with an Indo-Trinidadian girl. Now, interracial mixing back then was a lot more taboo than it is now, especially when it concerned a black man and an Indian woman. So I do look forward to seeing how this book deals with that, but most importantly, I just look forward to watching the movie in general, because I've never watched a movie set in my own damn country, which is quite shameful when you really think about it. Anyways, those are all of the books that I am going to be reading for the BookTubeAthon, or as it's now known, the Reading Rush. Forgive me if at any point in my channel I refer to it as the BookTubeAthon. I'm just so accustomed saying BookTubeAthon, I need to adjust to saying the Reading Rush. Either way though, in the comments down below, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts on them, and definitely also let me know if you're going with any of these books for the challenges this year, or what books in general you're going with. I'm quite curious to know. I'm a nosy ass bitch, so elucidate down in the comments. But on your way to the comments, make sure to like this video if you liked it, make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more of this space, and you can find me on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. The links will be in the description down below. That's all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, I hope you have a lovely day, and until next time, inshallah, keep reading.